Baby, I'm the gamble of your life. Why you always gotta think twice? We could go at it all night till the morning till you can't even go no more.
What does it mean to have everybody practicing for the biggest game of the year?
Oh, that's important. I think anytime that you have your full arsenal on your team, you got a much better chance to go out there and perform well.
Matt, did you think they didn't need the padded work today?
Yeah, I thought our guys just, I want to keep these guys fresh. I think for us to be at our best, they need to be fresh for Sunday.
Coach, where do you think your team mentally is right now?
I like where we're at, but ultimately it doesn't matter. I mean, we're just focused on day-to-day preparation, trying to get a little bit better each and every day, and making sure that we know the plan inside and out, know the details of the plan. But ultimately, we got to go out there and perform on Sunday.
Matt, in that regard, is it as much of a mental prep as it is physical then this week?
I think that's every week. I think the mental portion is so critical. I mean, I look at both offensively and defensively and in special teams. The last game, we had our fewest amount of mental errors, and I think that is a recipe to play your best football.
After that first San Francisco game, did you have to talk to the guys? And I don't want to say a pep talk, that's probably too cliche, but any sort of grand speeches from you just to kind of remind them that, hey, it's just one game?
No, I think our guys, they realize that. This is the National Football League. Stuff like that can happen, and it's all about how you respond when you get knocked down like that. And we just went back to business, and we got, like I said, we got a mature group. We got great veteran leadership in that locker room, and just got back to work.
Has your trust in your veteran leaders grown throughout this season? It's like, you know what, it's taken care of, and you can just keep it to your game plan and installation. You see good things happening from within that.
Yeah, I think any time, as your relationship grows with anybody, I think there's more trust involved, and very fortunate to have the kind of leadership that we have on this football team with, there's just so many great leaders.
Have you made any scheduling or logistical tweaks on this trip to California as opposed to the other two trips this year?
Just very minor, but it's going to be pretty much like the last time we went out there. So I personally don't think that had as much to do with how we performed as maybe some other people might think.
Sorry, Matt. There is weather coming Saturday, though. Might you guys have to push your departure time up a little bit, or have you guys looked at that at all?
I know Matt Klein's well aware of that, and we'll adjust accordingly, but that has not been brought to my attention yet.
Matt, you were talking about the leadership before. Blake was telling us yesterday that all the defensive players after that San Francisco game pulled together a meeting and talked about the big plays. Do you think that was, as much as Mike coaching them up or whatever else, a pretty important turning point in terms of their commitment to that improved communication?
Absolutely. I think anytime the players take the ownership, I think you got a much better chance at changing something. And I definitely think the communication has been much better. Everybody seems to be on the same page right now. We've given up less big plays, but shoot, we're going against a pretty explosive offense. So we're going to have to be on it on Sunday in order to try to minimize those explosive gains.
Matt, what do you think about the job that Jace has done? A lot of people coming out of college said he couldn't block, and here he is playing some downs at fullback.
Yeah, Jace does not flinch, and he'll throw his face in there, and he's gotten better and better each and every week. I think he's grown on all of us. It took him a minute to get going, but I see improvement every day from him. I love his intent when he goes out there on the field. He is very purposeful in what he wants to accomplish each and every day, and it's showing.
How much of an indicator do you personally think third down conversion statistic is? Obviously, you struggled at San Francisco, had great success against Seattle the other night.
Yeah, I think it's critical. I mean, you got to stay on the grass, and when you look at this style of defense, much like last week, it's hard to get those explosive plays. And so in order to string together drives, you've got to convert on third down. And this is, I think they were ranked number 2 in the National Football League on third down. I mean, this is as good as defense as there is out there. And really, they were missing a lot of key players for a good portion of the year. I mean, D. Ford missed I don't know how many games. Tart missed a bunch of games. So now they are fully back. They got everybody. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. But that is going to be absolutely critical to our success, is just being able to have some of those long drives and in order to generate points.
Other than the obvious, the bottom line, you converted a lot in one game and not a lot in the other. Was there anything different that you did between having a really solid game on third down, especially the third and long Sunday, and against a different defense, but not having that success on third down against San Francisco?
Yeah, I think our guys win their one-on-one matchups. That's what it comes down to many times on third down. I mean, certainly there's a component of the plan and those guys feeling comfortable with it, but ultimately they got to go out there and execute it.
Matt, when you and Brian first got together, did you guys talk a lot about what kind of a player you wanted, not just athletically, but the kind of people you wanted in the locker room? And what do you think you kind of settled on in terms of what you're willing to take and, what you're not?
Yeah, those conversations constantly take place, not only just how a guy's wired mentally, what they're all about, and then we do that within each position group. But he's done such a great job of bringing in just, all the guys that he's brought in here. I mean, it's a great locker room, great character. When you get guys in free agency like Za'Darius and Preston and Adrian and Billy, that just adds to that winning formula.
Think Raven is any close to being activated compared to last week?
Yeah, Raven looks good, but that's something that we'll let it play out, and we'll see where we're at the end of the week.
Matt, just curious, what's your pregame routine like? I know the players, have certain things that they like to do, but kind of 3 hours before kickoff until you're out on field. What do you do?
I just keep looking at the game plan and going over notes and tendencies and just trying to get my mind right to call a football game, and so that's pretty much it.
Speaking of that game plan, Devontae was saying yesterday that the guys feel really good about the game plan and that maybe the last one wasn't as good. Did you kind of feel the same way? And obviously you have to execute it and you have to make the calls you want to make, but do you just feel better about what you've got kind of in store right now?
Well, yeah, I think that's a product of these guys have been in the system longer, so I hope they're more comfortable and more confident. I don't think you ever design a game plan, with feeling bad about it. So you always want to feel great about your game plan, but certainly, obviously, it wasn't good enough last time. There's no doubt about it. When you get beat by 29 points like that, it wasn't a good plan. So certainly we feel confident about it, but ultimately, again, we got to go out there and execute it against a really good defense.
So when you're coaching offense your entire career, I don't know, you probably know all these defensive players that you have to scheme for and prepare for. How much did you know about Devontae, like as you were going through the interview process here, or as you were coming into the job, and what are the things that he's done that you've kind of been like, wow, this is a great asset for me to have?
Well, it's not hard to recognize his talent. Whenever you cut on the tape, whether you're studying an opponent and you're watching film of him, he flashes all over the screen. But what's really cool is when you get to dig down and get to know these guys as people and what he's about as a person. He's a great human being. He's a great person. He's a great dad, great husband, great teammate, and he's a really smart football player. And anytime you have a good person and you add the intelligence that he has, that's why you get players that are of his caliber. He's super intelligent, and he's got all the physical traits, and he's wired the right way.
And knowing the offense as well as you do, and knowing what Kyle's scheme is, are there things you can tell Pettine about what makes it difficult for a tight end to get open? What bothers you and most when you've got a good tight end and they throw a defense at it?
I don't know as specific as to like necessarily a tight end. Certainly there's things that you can do, whether it's, really try to hold them up at the line of scrimmage, or there are certain things that you can do, but certainly we have conversations about if he's ever has any questions. It's more scheme related, I would say, than as opposed to just, hey, how do we just lock down this person?
Hey, Matt, how much do you think you and Robert learned about football when you guys were at Central and you're drawing the plays in that, Microsoft Visio or whatever you guys were using?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of our foundation, is when you get into the early stages of coaching, there's a lot of learning that's going on, and a lot of it is, handling some of that computer work and maybe learning how to go fetch coffee or for somebody. I don't know, but that's where your foundation takes place, is in those when you first start out coaching, and that's why it's so important to be around good coaches, because you just soak everything up.
In the second half of the last meeting, you guys came right out, 13-play drive touchdown, then a 12-play drive that didn't result in points. Was that a result of better execution, halftime adjustments, the defense that was maybe trying to keep the big play off the table? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, certainly you always are trying to make adjustments. If they're shutting you out in a certain area, you got to kind of regroup and reformulate your plan. But ultimately, I still think it's more about our guys going out there and executing and feeling confident in what they're doing.
Baby, I'm the gamble of your life. Why you always gotta think twice? We could go at it all night, till the morning, till you can't even go no more. You like it, don't even deny it.